Sometimes it takes fresh eyes to see the beauty in everyday life. John Gutmann was one of those people. Born in Germany, he fled the rise of the Nazis in 1933, leaving behind his home and his past. When he arrived in the United States, he didn't just start over, he transformed himself. He settled in San Francisco, and it was there that he picked up a camera and began to see the world differently. As a newcomer, everything caught his attention, things that most Americans wouldn't even glance at twice. He wandered the streets, capturing moments that felt ordinary, but through his lens, became something much more. Crowds of people from all walks of life, neon-lit drive-ins, the buzz of tattoo parlors, and of course, America's deep love affair with cars. Gutmann had a way of noticing what others missed. That's what made his work stand out. And the world took notice. His photographs appeared in big magazines like Time, Life, and the Saturday Evening Post, all sharing his unique take on American life. But his story didn't end with photography. He also gave back as a teacher, helping shape future artists by founding one of the very first creative photography programs in the country, right there at San Francisco State College in 1946. Gutmann gave us a new way of seeing, a reminder that even the most ordinary moments can be full of meaning if we just stop and look. John Gutmann was born in 1905 in Breslau, Germany, which today is known as Wrocław, Poland. He came from a well-off German Jewish family, and from early on, art was a part of his life. He studied at the State Academy of Arts and Crafts in his hometown, where he earned his bachelor's degree. There, he trained under Otto Müller, a well-known painter and one of the pioneers of the New Realist movement in Germany. In 1927, Gutmann made his way to Berlin. The city was buzzing with creativity, and it was there that he got his master's degree from the State Institute for Higher Education. Berlin at the time was a cultural playground, full of inspiration, full of life. The energy of the nightlife, the people, the contrasts, all of it left a mark on him. He began painting in the style of Otto Dix, another German artist who captured the wild and sometimes lonely world of Berlin's night scene. But in 1933, things changed. With the rise of the Nazi regime, Gutmann found himself unable to exhibit his work or continue teaching. So, he turned to something new, photography. He bought a Rolleiflex camera, took just 3 rolls of film, and not long after, he landed a contract with a German photo agency called Press Photo. The plan? Travel to America, take pictures, and send them back for publication. That same year, he arrived in San Francisco. And from that moment on, he started documenting the United States through the eyes of someone observing from the outside, almost like an anthropologist with a camera. By 1936, he began teaching at San Francisco State College. If this is making sense and you're finding it helpful, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Thanks for being here. 10 years later, he started their creative photography program, one of the first of its kind in the country. Toward the end of the 1930s, Gutmann began working with Pix Incorporated, a New York agency that helped get his photographs published in big-name magazines like Time, Life, the Saturday Evening Post, and Look. During World War II, he studied at the Signal Corps Motion Picture School in Queens and worked with the U.S. Army Signal Corps, creating both still images and motion pictures. Much of that work took him to places like China, Burma, and India. Gutmann retired from teaching in 1973, but he didn't slow down. Instead, he focused on revisiting and printing his earlier photographs, getting them ready for exhibitions and books. In 1976, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art held an exhibition featuring his work alongside Walker Evans, showcasing powerful images of the Great Depression and the American culture that grew out of it. 2 years later, he received a Guggenheim Fellowship. And in 1984, his first book was published, The Restless Decade, a stunning collection of his work from the 1930s. Starting in 1989, a major retrospective called Beyond the Document traveled from San Francisco to New York and then to Los Angeles, celebrating the depth and scope of his career. John Gutmann passed away peacefully on June 12, 1998, in San Francisco, the city that had become his home and creative refuge for so many years. He was 93, leaving behind a lifetime of images that continue to speak, to move, and to inspire. John Gutmann's life, well, it wasn't exactly a straight line. It was more like a winding road, shaped by exile, reinvention, and above all, a deep, unstoppable urge to really see the world around him. He arrived in the United States back in 1933, landing in San Francisco. Not the typical destination for a European artist at the time, not Paris, not Berlin. But San Francisco gave him something else, something rare: freedom. It was a different world, full of contradictions, full of struggle, but also full of unexpected beauty. And Gutmann, looking through the eyes of a newcomer and the heart of an artist, started capturing it all with his camera. America was in the depths of the Great Depression, but that's not what caught his attention. While others focused on the hardship, he saw something else, a kind of quiet strength, a raw energy, moments of strangeness and wonder. Where some saw emptiness, he found life. Where others saw disorder, he saw stories waiting to be told. He hadn't planned to become a photographer. That wasn't the dream. He came from painting, from the expressive, thoughtful world of fine art. But arriving in a new country with limited means, photography became a way to survive. And then it became something much more. His new language. San Francisco in the 1930s was pretty isolated from the big art scenes. But that turned out to be a gift. No pressure to follow trends. No need to impress anyone. As he once said, I had had enough of art with a capital A. For him, it wasn't about status. It was about honesty, about finding his own voice on his own terms. And that voice kept growing. Not just through his photographs, but through his teaching. In 1946, he started the creative photography program at San Francisco State University, shaped by the Bauhaus ideas he'd carried with him: form, function, experimentation. He stayed for nearly 40 years, not just passing on technical skills, but a whole way of looking at the world, a way of staying curious. He wasn't just a photographer or a teacher. He was also a collector. He had an eye for African art, modern prints, things he loved, things he believed in. And he didn't keep it all to himself. He shared his collections, supported museums, helped build something bigger than just his own legacy. Even in old age, he stayed involved. Still going to gallery openings, still talking to young artists, still excited about what was next. That spark never left him. Only after retiring did he go back to his archive, thousands of negatives quietly resting in storage. One by one, he brought them back to light. And people began to take notice again. Exhibitions in New York, in San Francisco, the world remembered. He had never chased fame, but found him anyway. And what he left behind, it goes beyond his photos. It's the courage to see with fresh eyes, to hold on to beauty even when it hides, to follow your own truth even if no one else sees it at first. He reminded us that the best stories don't always come from the center, that sometimes being on the outside gives you the clearest view, and that when art is honest, really honest, it doesn't just reflect life. It brings it to another level, one that speaks to the soul.